The content displayed on an affiliate website revolves around using widgets and panels. Now, these widgets and panels range from everything from text to buttons to listings to pretty much any other type of content we can imagine. Now, we can simply drag and drop whatever widget we want onto the page, but before we do that, we really must understand how the column and row widgets work. So essentially, before we add any of these basics, list, media, business, social, or advanced types of widgets, we need to drag and drop a column of some kind and then go into the row settings and designate how many columns we want it to be. This is very important for when you're trying to make your content mobile friendly. By putting it in these rows and columns, it's just allowing the content to be correctly stacked and just navigated by a mobile device as optimally as we can make it. So from here we can change how many fluid columns we want, or if we want to make them non-fluid. And once we've done that, so I changed it to 3, and now you can see we have 3 columns. And I like to look at these columns and rows a lot like a newspaper. If you look at a newspaper, they lay it out based on what content they're going to be displaying, and then they're wrapping everything around it. And a lot of the times there might be different columns. So in this case, we have 3 different columns. And again, once I establish the columns, I will come into the widgets and start dragging whatever content I want into there. Now, when it comes to the column itself, what I can do is I can drag like essentially text in here, but I couldn't put text next to an image unless I come back to widgets, I bring in a 2 column, I bring it in here, and now all of a sudden I could add a widget that is for text and another one that is for an image. So we can put columns and rows within one another continuously, so we can organize the way the content needs to be displayed. So again, I'm going to undo that, and again we're back to these 3 columns. Now when I come to this gray portion, I have column settings. So it's important to understand that we have column settings and we also have row settings. So the row settings are for all 3. The columns are for each individual column. So within the column settings, we can change the background. For instance, we could make it a solid color. We could make it an image. We could give it a shadow or a border. We can again then pad it or give it a margin if necessary. So we can do a lot of the different things we can do with the column in general. So within the column settings, we can virtually do the exact same things as far as background, border, shadow, controlling the spacing and so forth. As far as the spacing, when it in the row settings, that's gonna you can see this space right here, the dashed line. If we increase it, then it starts to become bigger, and that's going to essentially just space out the columns themselves. Now also within the row settings, if you come down to stretch, this is where you can make the entire row either have a background full page bleed and or content full page bleed. So that's controlling again how far the content actually goes on the actual page itself. So what you cannot do within a column is you cannot clone. If you see this, we can delete the column, we can move the column, so I can move this left one with the middle one if I needed to, and vice versa. But what I can't do with the column that I can with the row is clone. So one trick is to sometimes bring in a column into one of these, and then from here I could put content, or again I could even come in here and drop a 2 column inside of it. And let's say I then wanted to have a heading above that 2 column. I'm going to drag. Now realize that this is a 2, and then we have the 1, and then but that's all contained in this column. So I couldn't clone all of this if I just come to the row column settings. I can't clone both the header and this 2 column function, but if I come here, and this is to this individual column, not all 3, I will clone it, and now I can drag the settings from there. So again, widgets are going to display all of the content on your site, but it's very important that you understand how columns and rows work. Hopefully you find this video helpful. Thank you for watching.